We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Imagine what would have happened if we hadn't attracted the magic we had back when we couldn't fathom. Life is a fantasy, not with the vanity, not the way it was back then. So I grab my pen and write it down like a scripture. Mr. Mystic, making hits for the misfits. The show where you don't know what you don't know when it's on again with Sean and Jonathan. Yeah.
Welcome to Meta Mystics, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today we have a very, very special guest, somebody who we've been looking forward to speaking to for quite some time now, and very honored to be in your presence. Dana Kippel, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
This is going to be so much fun. Really, really looking forward to this conversation. You have like taken social media by storm. At least my algorithm, it has just constantly been blowing up for like a couple of years now. All I see is you, and I'm like always mesmerized by everything that you got to say and all the things that you're pointing out and relating the spiritual world and the scientific world. I love that stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really trying, and I feel like I think all our purpose on earth, everyone's purpose is to express themselves and like what they really feel and think. And I just try to do that every day. And right now that's on social media. Sometimes it's, through my books or movies, and the 10-minute or 3-minute reels are like the quickest way for me to get stuff out and then move on. So, yeah.
Yeah, and those are some of my favorite, as far as like someone just jumping in front of a microphone and just expressing their thought that they're having right now, because those are the things that are very important. We can have an idea or an epiphany and kind of just go, am I crazy? I don't know. And then you start doing something else, and then it's just poof, it's just gone. And so I really appreciate that you're able to just jump on and do that. It seems like kind of a spur of the moment. You just jump on and express that.
Yeah, it's not logical. It's like poetic, I guess. It's kind of like, romantic poetry or something. But I would say the more I let myself go, the more accurate it actually is. And when I try to be logical or fact check, it's when it gets messed up. So I always think, as long as I feel what I'm saying is true, that's all that matters. And my truth can change tomorrow. But I have this theory that when you're truly expressing yourself, you're a portal, right, for that higher intelligence to come through to you or you, and you guys will experience it differently. So all I have to do is express myself every day truly, and the job will get done. So I don't really worry about being right or wrong, because I'll always be both.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that way more than somebody that's just kind of stuck in their ways and of the hive mind, as we were talking about kind of before we were recording. We're just kind of the middle path, kind of whatever you're feeling, and that's what you're experiencing, and nobody can tell you otherwise.
Exactly.
I was just thinking too, is that there's a lot of people that don't really put a lot of credence into their own thought, like into their own inner world, because how can you rely on man's own inner understanding, right? And I'm like, well, it's not necessarily that we're relying on our own understanding. It is going within to try and find some deeper wisdom, because that's where God is, or whatever the divine intelligence is, right? It feels like that.
Yeah. I think it's a paradox. I think like we're supposed to rely on our understanding, and we're supposed to also go through understanding to that other side of intelligence. Like the dark tunnel is the understanding where we heal and grow, and there's tension, and they've demonized it, right, as the dark feminine or the siren or the demon, which is also known as a daimon, which means your inner genius.
Yes.
And then on the other side of that dark tunnel is like this neon fluorescent light of intelligence, and I know to get there, I have to go through the darkness. Of my own self.
Well, that's usually what happens is that as soon as you emerge from the darkness or from the shadow, you develop an entirely new understanding of yourself and of reality, and it's just crazy. I mean, anybody who goes through any kind of dark night of the soul, whether it's some crazy event that happens in your life, or you have a near-death experience, or you have like a crazy psychedelic trip that is just like, okay, well, nothing exists. So, like all of them can be really good teachers.
Yes, I will say, because I've seen people come back from like psychedelic trips and ayahuasca, and I think they're great catalysts. But I think if people don't integrate it, that's when they'll get stuck in the whole like existential crisis. And it's
Mhm.
like, I feel like I don't know how much to get into this, but I feel like when you have a meditative experience or a psychedelic experience, you can either be in extreme bliss or you end up on the other side of that. There's another side of a coin to everything, and that's complete darkness. So you feel like there's nothing, but there really is no such thing as nothing. It's everything. So it's,
Mhm.
people that have seen that and felt that, I want to make them feel better. And like, that doesn't mean that nothing matters and nothing doesn't exist. You just, got lost and you're in the flip side for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's why sometimes the extremes can be a little dangerous. You start leaning
Yeah.
too far to one side, that the pendulum naturally wants to start to swing the other way, and that's where you
Yeah.
start to learn the lesson and go, wait a minute,
Yeah.
as true and authentic as I was being, and how I saw this thing as being true. Well, like now I'm looking at it kind of a different way, and it's cool to be open to that. You got to
Yeah.
be open to being wrong. I think so many
Yeah.
people are so afraid, the same people that are afraid to go into the darkness are the same people that are
Yeah.
afraid to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. That's when you learn.
Yeah.
It's the middle path. It's
That's
yeah,
it.
it's not the bliss of the like, everything's on a pedestal, I'm God, and it's not the like I'm a demon either. It's the
Right.
rainbow serpent.
That's it.
100%. Just before the show, I found this book that I had bought
Mhm.
like a while ago, and
Yeah.
for some reason I never read it. And it's the Corpus Hermeticum. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes, I think I've read it. Do you have it on you or no?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
what does it look like? Let me see.
Well, it's in better
I
English, but it's the Way of
Yeah.
Hermes.
Yeah, I've read a bunch of those things, but I know about it. Tell me, what are you thinking?
Oh my God. I only
The
read the
middle
first
path.
book. So it's a compendium of 17 books.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of them it's just Hermes talking or somebody
Yeah.
else talking, and it's all just like kind of inward conversation that you're having with the all, essentially.
Uh-huh.
And in the first book is about the Poimanders or Poimandras, I don't know how to say it,
Let me
which is said to be the nous, or just the
Oh,
mind of the universe, essentially, right?
yes.
And it talks about like how everything was created, and even the nous doesn't really fully know what it's doing here, and God itself almost doesn't even know what it's doing here, so it decided to multiply and create. And I mean, it
Ooh.
is and legit, the first book was 8 pages. I was like, oh my God, it's the most crazy 8 pages of a book that I've ever read. It's wild.
That's my kind of book, man.
That's my kind of book too. Wait, that's so interesting. So what you're calling the noose, I would call what I call 4D plasma. It's kind of just this middle layer between, this fifth dimensional intelligence and our three-dimensional physical self, right? It's like the realm of our higher selves and ourself. And then there's this middle layer where it's like intelligent clay, where we're molding reality out of, right? And you can't conceptualize as a human the fifth dimensional intelligence without it going through the costume of the fourth dimensional layer, painted by your emotions and archetypes and feelings, right? And these things. But I was going to say about that, you said something that made me think that noose. Oh, it doesn't know what it's doing here. So there's a mythology about the sleeping giant, a female sleeping giant, and how she's like in the middle of waking up. And I always refer to that layer that some people have called the living waters or Maya, the illusion, that it's starting to wake up. Maybe it's becoming conscious. Maybe we're all waking up. So it's starting to become more intelligent, but it's seeming like we're all becoming these like master manifestors for better or worse. So that's why right now I feel like my job is to stress the inner technology. Because if we don't work on our inner technology, which is consciousness working with this plasma, right, with this reality, we're going to manifest continuously negative things because most of us are in a survival consciousness. And then we're going to make bad machinery that also drains the earth because we're all stuck in this lower consciousness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% agree. There has to be some kind of integration that we can almost like evolve with the earth and with like the spiritual realm. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like everything that humanity has done up to this point has gone completely against that, as far as architecture and the economy and just how we treat everybody and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of crazy, but I feel like this. Yeah, I don't know when it happened. I know that some people say that it was the end of an age, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe we're coming into the age of Aquarius, or maybe
Yeah.
it's the end of the Yuga.
The Yuga?
Kali
Oh,
Yuga.
Kali
Yeah.
Yuga. It's yeah. I mean, it's obviously it's across all traditions, right? That we're entering this new age. I think that's like the common shift in the Mayan 2012. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. But that usually means we're onto something when she does that. But I think. Sorry, what were you saying? We're coming into a new age. What was the point of that? I
Well, no,
forget.
it just seems like the way that
Okay, wait.
that reality used to work is
Yes, doesn't
starting to
work.
change a little bit, and I almost wonder is there a
Yes.
little bit of friction
Yes.
that some people were thinking that the way that the new Earth, for a lack of a better term, should be, and almost the other side, which is trying to merge man with machine, almost, you know, with AI and everything.
Yeah, which is so annoying. I think that, yes, I think we started out as a matriarchal society, right? Where women had the power and the goddess was worshiped. And I think it was actually tipped in that direction. And that got too much. And then I think that's why we actually did seesaw to the more patriarchal side, right? Where consciousness almost split from this plasma, this goddess, where there's no longer a god and his wife, you know, like a Shira poles were all knocked down, God's wife, and there was just God all of a sudden in the religions of Christianity and these monotheistic religions. And it's now we're almost like, I don't think we're going back into the age of the goddess. I think we're remembering the goddess and then fusing that with the divine masculine to birth the age of the child or the age of Aquarius, where it's more about neutrality, and a mix of technology and human, but not together. It's more growing our consciousness so we can make supportive technology that helps enhance our consciousness. Almost picture like what they did in Egypt, where it's like technology based on like sacred geometry and vibration. I think like we're going to have more stuff like that in the future. But I think we actually had to go through this separation and this contrast to know it doesn't work to arrive at this point. Like I think it all divinely happened, even though it was so annoying. But yeah, now we're coming into this, I would say, more equilibrium, and who knows what will come out of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I only, not to get super weird here, but I only wonder
get
where, I only wonder where the Western world would be if it wasn't for such people as Madame Blavatsky and
know, I
Aleister Crowley bringing over the Eastern mysticism over to the West. You know, what a crazy different world it might be if it wasn't for that.
Theosophy has been hugely integral in my work. So weirdly enough, this stuff that I kind of come to in my meditations, like I remember when I first was on this journey 5 years ago, I would look stuff up and it was like a lot of what Helena Blavatsky was already saying. And I was like, oh my God, like they knew 100 years ago. Like they just didn't have the word, plasma or these certain words. And I'll explain what that is for everyone who's new, who isn't listening. But yeah, she taught, like even back then, she came up with something called the life atom and talked about how the atom has to do with like love and what is it? Hold on, love. Do you know what I'm talking about? Life atom. I have to Google this really quick.
That's new to me.
Okay, this is really interesting because I think she was right. And I think we're going to come back to this in science. So I want to say, okay, that every particle of matter contained divine life. Yeah, but there was like love, free will, and something else. I'm seeing if I could Google it. Life atom, she called them. Oh, okay. There was like, I don't know. Someone will have to look it up. But if someone can look up life atom, there's 3 parts of it. How now it's a proton, electron, and neutron. Let me chat GPT this shit. Life atom, proton, electron, neutron. What did Helena Blavatsky say those stood for? Because it's so interesting.
Well, yeah, and honestly, yeah, she brought over a lot from like India and stuff like that. I want to say, right?
Yeah, and they do. So, oh, here we go. Yes. So she said the atom was really a trinity. The proton was life, will, or the positive principle, the initiating force. And then the electron was the mind or the circulating principle, something like that. And then the neutron was more like a neutral. I think it kind of stands for like the mother, the father, and the child in a way. I'm butchering this, but someone could look it up on their own.
Yeah,
but
well, I mean, there has to be a trinity for any kind of creation. Like there just has to be. That's it's the same thing that goes for shapes. Even with just one, it's a dot. With 2, it's a line. 3 starts to form. So it makes sense. Some kind of 3 energies coming together, in my mind, anyway.
Yeah, I think that's why we're coming into like computing uses binary zeros and ones, right? Even
Mhm.
I think quantum computing does too, which is so I think that there's this undiscovered third way of computing that has to do with consciousness that uses more like ternary it goes above duality. And I don't know what that is yet, and I wish I could speak about it more, but I have that intuition that there's a way we haven't discovered yet, or maybe we haven't, it's just not out there, that goes beyond the duality.
I believe that actually in quantum computing, they go beyond just ones and zeros. They go, you can have a one or a zero, or you can have a zero and a one, or a
Yeah.
one and a zero, something
Yes.
along
No,
those lines.
you can, but there's something with like, I think, I still think we're going the wrong way.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, because
Yeah. I wish I knew it better.
it's still trying to evolve technology over evolving the human and integrating the humanness or the life force or the spirit of everything together. It is trying to connect everything through essentially technology and electricity, which is, which is great, for convenience sake. There's no doubt about it. Like, I love the convenience of AI. I love the convenience of not having to start a fire every night. I can just flick the lights on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, I think that there is a point where it could go too far.
Yeah, like, and I think I was wrong. I do think quantum computing does use the ternary thing, I think. But what I was thinking in my mind is that there's something, I think we're going to have a computer that's like beyond using math. It's going to be more like systems theory and geometry and like water and plasma. Like there's going to be some kind of like softer technology computers we make in the future that are way more beneficial to the earth and humanity than what we have now.
Mm.
I would hope. That sounds awesome. By
Yeah.
the way, just out of curiosity, what started you on this whole path, like this whole journey towards your research? And like, was there something that really pushed you in that direction?
Um, it's so no and yes. So it was a breakup, which is the most like hilarious like girl reason ever. As you drink the Hello Kitty mug.
It's my daughter's. It ain't mine.
No, it's so
Right. Yeah.
funny though. Okay. But no, I think basically when I was like 30 or 31, this like 5 years ago, I went through a really bad betrayal with the boyfriend I had. And it kind of resurged everything in me, like from when I was younger and all these, traumas I hadn't worked through, right? It just kind of broke my heart open. And I just wanted to feel better. So I started to look towards meditation and, spiritual things. And I meditated for the first time, transcendental meditation. And in like the first couple meditations, and I was like acting and directing. Like I was always, I guess, like metaphysical, spiritual, but I wasn't like super into these. I didn't know what plasma was or anything, right? Didn't have spiritual practices. I was just like interested in out of the box stuff. And I'm meditating. All of a sudden, I just like come out of it and I knew all this stuff. Like it was like plasma is intelligent, it's the vehicle for consciousness. And I was like, what's plasma? Like I knew, but I couldn't conceptualize it. And then it was like a 5 year journey of like piecing together the things in English that I could see in my mind and feel in my heart. And so what drew me to it was I think it came to me, and I think I put myself in a receptive state for the first time in my entire life. Like I'd always numb myself with like, drugs and alcohol, boyfriends, love, negative thinking. I never took a second to slow down and stop. And the minute I did, my, one, I guess, of my destinies fell right into me. And that's why I think meditation is an amazing gateway drug.
Mm.
Um, to all these things. And then, I got into therapy because I wanted to make sure I integrated the visions I was seeing. I didn't want to become another one of those spiritual influencers who's like all high up in the clouds, not grounding anything in reality. So the more I healed, the more I felt like I was able to integrate it. And then, yeah, so basically what I conceptualized out of the whole thing is there is, a plasma in science that's an ionized gas. It's the fourth state of matter. We study it. It's lightning. It's and neon signs is a cold plasma. It is in the aurora borealis, the glowing lights that happen during solar flares above Earth that are all different colors. And then there is multidimensional plasma, which is basically if you're looking at an elephant and you're looking at its leg, you're using a lens of science and you see physical plasma, right? That's in our material reality. It makes up 99.9% of visible matter. I say that there's an expanded plasma. It is multidimensional. It is sentient. It is a living ether. It is the fabric of our reality. And that is the vehicle for consciousness. It's like, the goddess in mythology, right? It's the womb of creation. It's where the consciousness, molds to make stuff, but it also has its own intelligence that we need to respect. And you can think of it not as conscious, the vehicle for consciousness, but you can think of it more as like as feeling or love, like a neutral love. I don't know how to, you cannot put it into words really. It's like something you experience that I think we've experienced. How else would we experience it if everything was just consciousness? When we meditate and we have those blissful experiences or we feel completely at peace, our consciousness has to be working with something else. It has to be in the womb of something. It's not just consciousness and consciousness.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And what even the fuck is consciousness? Like, doesn't make sense.
The world may never know.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I think consciousness is more of like a system, and it's more like our awareness, right, in different states of consciousness in plasma that is also in different states. But anyway, I don't know how I came up with all this stuff.
Just crazy downloads and meditation. It happens all the time.
I thought I was going to be an actor.
Yeah. Hey, I appeared. I was a what are they called? An extra in a couple of movies. So
really?
did my little piece, but didn't make any money. I made like $100 a day. It was fun, but But no, it's awesome because once you kind of have these downloads and you realize that some of the answers are outside. I don't like really whenever people say, well, you're not going to find any answers out there. I found a lot of answers out here, but being able to integrate the inner with the outer information, I think is very important.
Yes, I would say I wouldn't be where I am today without people like Robert Temple, who wrote A New Science of Heaven about plasma. That came out a year after I had this revelation, but he was already writing it. Like, we obviously all had these ideas, and he's one of the pioneers of it. I mean, he's had this idea for over 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah. And then, Hannes Alphen, who was in like the 70s, who came up with the plasma cosmology. Eileen McCusick, who wrote Tuning the Human Biofield. She talked about bioplasma. I mean, there's so many books I've read that have given language to the understanding I had without the education. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson, his books and nature, and he wrote an essay on circles that really, anyway, my point is I can go on forever. There's so many books I've read and people I've met who've taught me other perspectives. Like, you have to be an open system. You can't just there's people I've met who are like, I don't want to learn anything from anyone because like that keeps my ideas clear. And it's like, no, that's actually stupid. And I've been through that too, but that means you're in a state of fear. And it has to be a mix. Like what I do, and I bet you guys do this too, is like books and people are portals, right? For truth. So I'm open to listening to everything. And then I, as the truth maker of my own reality, get to choose what I believe in and what I don't, and what I can make better from that, and what I want to keep from that. And that's how I generate my perspective.
Yeah, that's perfect. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Some people will say that that's wrong. No. I mean, it's either this or nothing. It's like, come on, man. I think that's the biggest mistake, is removing the humanness of the. I mean, we're literally instruments. So we literally can't. We're part of the universe. We're like an instrument itself. When you can meditate and come up with all of this information, or even if it's just something just super interesting. Like, I had an experience last night. I don't know if it was like an out of body or what, but this ringing, this weird, and this is usually the sound that I get when I know that it's going to happen. Yeah. And every time it would build up, all of a sudden, like my own face would like come into my view, and I'm like. And then it would, and then the sound would go down and it would go away. And then I would like consciously bring that sound back, and my face would come back in, and I'm like, whoa. And then that sound was also coupled with like, there was a weird feeling where it was doing that sound, and then I felt like the side of my head, and I could feel almost like a motor turning like inside of my head, like an actual like electric motor rotating. And then like the sound would go away, and I felt my head, and it would like that, and it felt so real, like
it was real.
I understand, of course, I understand dreams feel real, but this felt like I was like laying in bed having that experience. Like, it didn't feel like I was dreaming, like an out of body experience. And then I was looking down, like I was like up here and I could look down the bridge of my nose. Like I felt like I was literally having like why is that wired in to the human experience? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'm glad it is.
Almost like looking from the third eye or looking from the crown, just that different perspective, you know?
Yeah. And then you guys were talking about the whole merging like machine with humans. And that's the experience I had last night, was like there was like a mechanism inside of me. Just like you could, I don't know.
What a
super strange.
Yeah.
No, that is, I mean, I've even had, like, I don't believe we're in a simulation, right? I believe we're in a living, breathing universe that can feel like a simulation when we're in survival consciousness, because things literally repeat when you're in loops, right? And then you get out of the loop by getting out of the survival consciousness. With that said, though, I've had experiences of all kinds, because in this reality, right, everything is true and everything is false. I have had experiences like that I cannot explain. I've had beautiful, luscious, organic experiences. And then I once had an experience where like I was seeing numbers and I heard like, oh, do you want us to show you something? And I was like seeing these numbers flying through my head, almost like we were in like a program, right? And I don't think we are, but it's just like I can't explain that. That's
right.
But then I've had, yeah, right.
It's super amazing that those experiences happen. Like I think a day before that, it was a similar experience, but it was just all black. And then it looked like it said downloading. And I was like, what? Yeah. Like I was trying to look at what the word said, but I could have swore it said like download or downloading. And like, I don't know, super strange. I didn't go to bed thinking, oh, I'm going to have a super vivid, like conscious, unconscious experience like this. But like I said, I'm glad that those things happen, because those are the things that kind of keep me, you know what I mean, peeling away and looking, trying to look through the mystery.
I want to analyze this for a second, because when this I want to ask you a question. Make this about you for a moment, because this is very interesting. This will help a lot of people. So when I had these experiences, the few days before that, I was reading about simulation theory. Have you been seeing anything around in your psyche in the past few days or since then about anything with simulation, machines, robots?
No, not necessarily. It was just kind of out of nowhere. You know, to be honest, I mean, we talk about a lot of weird things here, of course, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there could have been something that, you know, was brought up very quickly that, you know, but not that I know of.
So hold on. That is, I just want to touch on that for a second. It is the strangest synchronicity that I'm having right now, because hold on, I got to turn my phone back on, because I sent it to my computer. Then I deleted it because I was like, it looks kind of cheesy, but all right, I'm going to send it to the computer. As far as like gears or a simulation or anything like that, dude, I'm about to trip you the fuck out. Hold on one sec.
All right.
See this?
I like when you do that.
Look at this. I literally was making this earlier today.
See, you guys are connected.
Dude. Look at this.
No, we definitely are.
Earlier today, I was working on this morning. Just woke up with
it. There we go. And it's even the people looking at each other.
He'll come up with an idea for the show, and I'm like, dude, I've been thinking about that all day. You know what I mean? It's like, how is it that we're both thinking about the same thing? So and I think it might be the thing you've been talking about, the consciousness, the thing that consciousness travels through. Who knows exactly what it is, but there's definitely something to it.
So many names for it. Like and that's the thing too. I call it plasma. That's my name for it, right? Plasma means to mold in Greek. It's the perfect word, I think, for it. I'm just putting a new name to something that's been around for eternity, that
forever,
people call
probably.
ether, whatever, prana, energy, you can call it. But I think what matters is it holds memory. So like, you know, you guys and your consciousness, the more you're, you know, quantum entangled, right? The more you're imprinting memory, the more you're picking up on each other's fields with the memory. So that's just how it worked, but it seems like that connected a little bit.
Yeah, there's something there.
It's so fun.
Really, like, and just the idea, and I don't know if the world is a simulation or a matrix. I like to call it a dream, to be honest with you. That's the only thing that comes even kind of close. But, you know, whenever we were talking about, you were like, well, yeah, I don't think it's a simulation or anything. I wonder if the ones in the... Right, but I wonder if the ones and the zeros and the gears that people sometimes see during a hallucination or meditation or anything like that, I wonder if that is how higher dimensional entities view this world, potentially.
I mean, I think there's something there's something to everyone's experience, right? Because I don't think any of these, there's so many people having all these experiences. No one's lying, right? Like, why would we share this? That's just like, and I've had the experience too. So who am I to discount someone's when I'm talking about me seeing blue monkeys in the middle of the moon, right? But
Yeah.
but I think what's coming to me is that when we believe things, it creates an egregore, right? And the more people that believe in the simulation, the numbers, obviously numbers are a thing, math is a thing. Like there is a part in this what I would call fourth dimensional space where that story is very large, that there is some kind of numbers and simulation, and that means there is, right? And then there's a reality where there's not. So it's yes and no. So I think
Right.
yeah.
I think it's interesting, like if and I don't know if you've ever really lost somebody or but when you
Yeah.
lose somebody and you have that feeling like they're still here, I feel like
Yeah.
that's probably a very common experience. So I think maybe that's what it is, that the egregore that you're talking about. It's almost
Yeah.
like that thing that was that person has always existed and always
Yeah.
will. It's just kind of
Yeah.
in the system. It can't go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, everything is in here. And yes, it's so weird you said that because I didn't go and he died a year ago, but my dad's funeral was today in Florida. So that's crazy you just said that. But he
Wow.
died January 23rd of
Hmm.
last year and my mom took a year to make the funeral.
I'm
Wow.
But
sorry for
I
your
did
loss.
Thank you, but I didn't go because of what you're saying. Like funerals are more to help the humans, right? Because the people who died
Yeah.
are chilling already, and I have
Yeah.
a personal connection with my dad, so I wasn't about to get on a plane, which I hate flying, and go all the way to Florida for a funeral.
Hmm.
Yeah, we just recently had a buddy who just died a few weeks ago,
Oh,
and maybe you've even seen some of his content online. He's like a mystic
good.
rapper. His name is Optimistic Banks. Have you ever heard of
Uh,
him? He does like a lot of like it's almost like conscious rap. Really, really good
oh
stuff.
my
Loved it.
God, what the
If
hell?
if you're not listening to him, you're
Okay.
gonna dig it, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
100% Yeah.
But
and he passed
literally,
away.
yeah, like 3 days after Christmas. But literally, ever
Oh,
since we found out that he died, we've been getting the
yeah,
strangest synchronicities. His number, and he even talks about in his music and in his videos, and whenever he's come on our show several times, was always 333. And I kid you not, I never see 333. That's not a thing that I ever really see. I'll see a 111 from time to time, right? But
yeah,
just about every day, several times a day, I'm seeing
Yeah.
that, and it's always like very coincidental kind of timing. And I almost wonder, like, all right, is that my mind looking for the synchronicities to try and make sense of the whole thing, or is his consciousness or energy or spirit or whatever somehow sending sides from the other
that's what
side?
it is. I don't think your mind's trying to make sense of it because some people would say, right, it's reticular activating system. Like, he's 333 and now you're noticing more 333s. Like, no, like sometimes it happens too much to where it's more than a coincidence. Like, you cannot explain it. And it also is like, it doesn't matter about logic. It's what you feel. And I bet you're feeling that connection. Like, that's what makes it real. And
Yes,
that's a special thing. So that's what I think about that.
I think so too. That's what I like to think anyway. Um,
It's true.
So I do want to ask you, as far as plasma goes, of course, every time I see somebody talking about plasma, people like to associate it with the orbs that a lot of people are seeing nowadays. So many damn videos
Yeah.
of orbs. We've experienced it ourselves. Don't really know what to do with that information. Some people say, well, it's aliens, it's intelligences, or some people will say it's ball lightning. They're still stuck in the third dimension or whatever. But I'm like, there's something going on here, and I feel like a lot of people have the ability to communicate with it somehow. And
Yeah.
is that kind of in the same bubble of plasma that you speak of?
Yes, I would love to speak on that. And really quick, with the more thing with passing away, if we can have out of body experiences, of course we go on after death. Like, are
Right.
you kidding me?
Yes,
Like, hello.
Yeah.
Okay, but
100%.
with, but with the plasmoids, here's my take on the plasmoids. I think, plasma is all different dimensions and gradients, right? Plasma is a living thing. It can shapeshift. It goes into many forms, right? As we are talking about. And there's third dimensional plasma, which is the ionized gas. There is ball lightning, which is a very real physical plasma phenomenon, which you can equate to like a lion or a ferocious animal that doesn't want to kill you, but it just is scared. Like if it gets too close to you, yes, you'll get radiation. It's not trying to consciously kill you. It's just a sentient plasma going around everywhere that is not, I believe, super self-organizing, but it's just kind of around and it's a phenomenon, right? And then you have the plasmoids that are self-organizing. When you look up dusty complex plasma, you can learn a lot about, the intelligence of plasma. And this is still in science we're talking about here. And if we look up the Kordaluski clouds, they're two intelligent cosmic superbrains, as Robert Temple calls them. They're these intelligent clouds between the moon and the earth that were discovered and proved a few years ago that have like DNA-like structures, and they're, smarter than humans, more smart than humans. Yeah, they're crazy. And with these plasmoids, they're like these self-organizing balls of plasma that we're seeing in the sky that we've, I guess, never seen before. And they're studying them all over in NASA. There's papers on them, and they're trying to figure out, like, are they conscious? Are they intelligent? And I'm doing a seminar on this at the Science of Consciousness conference. I think there's not one answer, just like everything else. So what I've come across is there are the plasmoids that are simply self-organizing plasma phenomenon, right? That kind of have purposeful movement and that maybe have, that are sentient, that, are moving, with each other, almost like, once again, plasma animals, but not more like deer, not as ferocious as like a ball lightning or a lion. And then, since plasma is the vehicle for consciousness, we have the option of plasma forming what you can call like a pinch point, or what I think to be a wormhole. And it's almost like a looking glass for these beings of consciousness to remote view us. So obviously they're not going to actually be flying in the plasma ball. That wouldn't make any sense for a higher intelligent species.
So almost like a drone type of thing, you think?
Kind of, but once again, like, instead of like these consciousness beings are what I think are our higher selves. And I think that otherwise they would have came here already and talked to us. Like, if they're that smart, like, it would have, like, I think what their symbol is, it's a mythological symbol. We are seeing it is very real. We've all experienced it. I have too. The downloads I get from it is that they're saying, hey, look, we can use plasma with our consciousness. You can too. Like, it's not, you can learn how to do this. They're reminding us of our power. They're reminding us of our inner love, our inner magic. Otherwise, we would have had other experiences with them. And they're also reminding us of our trauma, which sucks. And there's been so many abduction stories that have been linked to trauma and traumatic experiences, and also changing people's lives, first for the worse, then for the better. These things are clearly evolving us in some way. They're not evil, but they're reflecting our consciousness. So if I have things I need to work on, you better believe it's going to show me that. So yeah, it's
so
like
interesting that I don't know. Yeah, that's wild. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that, but it does kind of make sense. Have you ever seen this movie called The Eternals?
Yeah, the Marvel movie.
Yeah, where it's basically like these gods are trying to get out of here. You wearing? All right, I like it. So basically, it's like these gods, and they're trying to hand humanity these tools or these powers or whatever, right? And humanity has to be ready, or otherwise it could destroy all of humanity, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so basically, that kind of just reminds me of what you're saying about the plasmoids, then.
So that's what it's literally, just all our higher selves trying to remember us, that we are them. And they're from the future. I call them our future ancestors. And it's like the one thing that is in movies that I don't think is real in this life, but it's more of a story of whoever is writing a lot of these movies, is everyone has always said throughout the years, we're not ready, right? We're waiting till we're ready. Like, we've been doing that for fucking 1,000 years. That's why there've been secret societies. That's why Prometheus gives the fire to the people, and that's why he got in trouble. And he stole the lightning, the plasma from Zeus or whatever, right? The people deserve the fire of knowledge, and it's been held back from us for decades to control us, and because they don't trust, us peasants, right? And it's like, I've met the general public. They're way more smart than some of these people in power and with money. They're way more loving too, right? It's just that they don't believe in themselves, then they're disempowered. So the more you can remind them the power is within them, and they just need to change some belief systems, and they can be abundant as fuck. And that is what I'm trying to do. They'll remember that they too can have this power. And my point is, we are the movies, wait until humanity's ready. We're ready. We have to choose to be ready. So my thing is just that make the choice to be ready, humanity.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, and it kind of is. I understand why some people might be scared of aliens or scared of something like that because everybody.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, you're gonna
scary.
fear the unknown. I mean,
Yeah,
especially if you see something like
they
there's.
come as scary things sometimes because they're reflecting your fear. They'll come as demons
Oh yeah, hundred
or
percent.
shadows. Like
It has to
that's
manifest
not
in some way.
that I'm saying they come in that four-dimensional, right, bodysuit of plasma that is steeped in our archetypes and ancestral knowledge and demons and angels and dakinis. So it pulls from your resonance. So if you're resonating, and that's why everything in the Bible, fear not, have no fear, all these religions, they're literally telling us how to communicate with them. Strip the fear, and they won't come as demons, right?
Three hundred
Um,
and sixty-five times it's in the Bible, by the way, one for each day.
That's so weird.
I know.
But that's what it's just because it's reminding us probably every day. Because I don't know about you, but I wake up in fear a lot. But yeah, it's like if we strip the fear, we won't see those things. And I know because I've had this happen. I used to see only demons and shadows and witch ladies and hags. And and then I had a time where I was seeing like angels and it was on a pedestal. And it was very like, I don't know. I was like, oh, worship. And now it's more neutral and now I feel like I see the truth. And it's like, they don't even come now as visions for me. It's more of like feelings and knowings and sometimes like holographic shimmerings. But yeah, it's really I feel like I can say this because I've been through it.
Oh yeah, and everybody's on their own path. Everybody
Yeah.
is trying to attain some kind of knowledge, some kind of truth. Because if there's one thing that nobody knows, it's where did we come from? Where were we before this incarnation? You can believe, you can have faith, whatever, right? And I feel like maybe that is something that we can figure out if we go inside deep enough. But I almost wonder that if we go inside, deep enough, is it only going to show us through the allegory of which our mind can understand, and therefore only symbolic and not literal? Because what is literal if everything's illogical anyway?
That's such a great point. And the truth to me is that everything's a paradox, right? And it's not conceptual to humans. But what is conceptual to humans is what you just said. And it's the fact that here's the thing, we're all seeking, right? I think we already know where we come from. I don't know about you, but I have those visions and memories. And it's like, why are we still looking for the answer? It's not going to be tangible proof. It's in that dream state. It's that liminal space of these memories we have that aren't going to be brought into reality as proof because we're humanity and we're remembering other timelines and past lives and us as our higher selves. Like that's not math or science. I'm sorry. Like that's shown in art and poetry. And I think we need to be like, okay, I think we do know where we come from. And maybe it's not a mathematical or scientific answer.
No.
And maybe it's more about like, how do we have, okay, like where we come from. Great. Like, I think we do know that, but I think it's like, and at the same time, we don't know shit. Right. But it's a paradox because the more I know, the more I don't know. But at the same time, I think we're asking the wrong questions. I think it should be, how do we create a harmonious relationship with reality since we're here? Instead of focusing on like where we're from, where we're going, it's like, how do we have a better time here? And then we'll get to where we're going.
Yeah.
And
so
it's where we're from.
Yeah, we get very blinded or distracted by trying to figure everything out. We got to figure it all out, and it really makes sense that after a dark time or you go through something, and all of a sudden you got to find out who you are again. You're not going to be tricked again. You got to figure it all out. That way you can kind of get ahead of the game. And it's like, I think now you're just kind of getting in your own way by not just experiencing things more holistically and just really trying to, I don't know. I feel like if we're constantly looking, we're missing shit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just think
and that's, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think that, just to exist is one of the trippiest things that could ever happen. Like, like, where did it all come from? How is it even possible? You know what? Like, that's where my mind goes. Yeah.
I mean, same. Like, even though I'm saying all this, like, we think about, it's natural to think about where we come from and where we're going. Like, that's humanity. And I think as long as we have a balance, like, I spend a lot of days trying to figure shit out, which is why I'm on this podcast and talking about plasma. Of course, I'm a seeker, but I also want the balance of being an experiencer. I don't want to be a martyr being like, oh, I'm going to figure out and help humanity, but then like have the worst life ever myself and like, help everyone but me. So it's like I have days, a lot where I'm experiencing life, where I'm eating, funfetti cake and watching reality TV and being human and trying to go on dates and they're disasters and just like being Dana. And then, then there's like, higher self experimental Dana that loves the plasma stuff and researches and until she, almost can't even sit up anymore. So I think a balance is good.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny. My daughter the other night was asking, like, I don't know, sometimes I just think about it, like where, pretty much what we just been saying, like where do we come from? What's going on? Like I'll just look at my hand and just think that it's so weird that we're here. And I'm like, yeah, really nobody really knows. Like really when you get down to it, it's a really big mystery, but here we are in the parking lot of TJ Maxx. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
It's absurd. So funny.
Yeah, we had a good little laugh about it though. But I love that she's asking those questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at such a young age.
Yeah,
oh my God.
My daughter's doing the same thing too, but it really is interesting about, because the deeper you dive into other kind of spiritual texts and whatnot, like we're huge on the 7 Hermetic Principles. Love them. I think they're great.
Yeah.
But one of them inside of the 7 Hermetic Principles says that all truths are but half truths. And I'm like, of course that's right. It has to be, right? It doesn't make any logical sense, but illogically, the other part of our brain can almost like see that it could be,
Yeah, that's even that's a half truth statement within itself, right?
Yeah,
that makes
like you said, it's a paradox.
That makes them all fourth truths, which is the law of 4, which is like, what is the 4s? It's like a philosophy. It can be true and false. What is that? There's like, hold on, quadrant 4, true, false. Let's see if I can.
You talking about the 4 noble truths in Buddhism?
There's something like how it's true, it's false, it's true, and it's true and false. Like there's some, I'm like butchering this.
No, that's very similar to that ones and zeros, and then there's also zeros and ones and zeros and everything in between, kind of.
Yeah. Wait, and I do want to go back to that. I have a book. Hold on, it's right here. Let me get it. It's very important. Okay, because I wanted to turn everyone off. This is like this secret mystical knowledge. So there's this really old book called Io Unveiled by a woman, Bozena Berdlova, and she talks about the origin of numbers. She also wrote another weird fiction book that like no one has ever found. But when we talk about ones and zeros and numbers, I think that numbers are, conceptually made up by us, right? Like, is that really base reality? No. And she talks about like what each number, the origin of each number, and I won't get into it now, but she'll talk about, so like ones and zeros, she'll talk about like, the number 1 and how it originated and all these like weird things. So like, I wonder if like I was to go into that and think of the ones and zeros, like what that actually means beyond math. Like maybe it means breathing, like how when you breathe in and out, it's like, da, da. Or maybe it's like a closed womb, open womb, like, or, there's so many symbolic ways to look at ones and zeros that I think we can crack open. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring that up because I was just talking to Sean yesterday and I was like, I found this thing to where in Hinduism, what they say is that why they always say whenever you're in meditation for you to pay attention to your breath, because after a while you start to notice that every breath out is a death and every breath in is a tiny rebirth. But the fascinating part about all of that is that you exist in both worlds. You exist in death and in life, which is for breath, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, to be able to observe that breath out, because there's no air inside your lungs. There you shouldn't be living. I mean, at least from a spiritual standpoint, as far as what breath and the spirit and all that stuff goes. It's interesting to look at it like at the tiniest, most minute center, that if you can observe your breath going out, you can observe death and be aware of that. And then you can also observe, rebirth at the same time.
Which also means, again, that we don't die. We just change form.
Exactly.
Yeah, technically. Yeah. I mean, they say that literally every cell of our body gets like regenerated every 7 years.
I think it does because I was like allergic to onions and then I wasn't allergic to onions. Well, not allergic, but a sensitivity. But yes, I really believe that.
You
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
out of it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. The taste buds all change and how our body reacts to certain things. It gets pretty weird. But look, I feel
No,
like we
it's
haven't.
actually really quick before we even
Yeah.
jump to the next thing. As far as the breathing in and out, we also were mentioning as far as, or I think I might have brought it up, but as far as
Yeah.
like the universe itself is potentially doing exactly that. It's almost like a
Yes.
breathing, right? And so like right
I
now
just wrote that.
we are in the time of the universe breathing out, right? And so everything is seemingly expanding or breathing in.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Breathing
you want to
in.
say it,
Yeah.
but yeah, but then I don't know, millions of years from now, it'll have that rebirth and breathe in or breathe out,
Mhm.
whatever. So I think it's very interesting. It's very possible, like we just have such a short amount of time to observe it, and so
Yeah.
it just seems to us like, oh, everything expanded, from one
Mhm.
point. Like it's probably
No.
always been. I
I was
think it's
just gonna
very
say that.
possible.
So that's so crazy you just said because I literally before I got on this call wrote an article about the breathing universe and the min-max theory and bubble theorem. And I
Okay.
basically have a theory that the universe is a plasma breathing bubble, that it always is expanding and contracting or whatever the hell the word is. I can't even speak. But
Words are hard.
basically, it's always going like this. And I don't think, yeah, the Big Bang is wrong. I don't think it's ever going to crunch or expand. I think it's just a bubble going like this. And it's just like the flower of life where it's maximizing efficiency by minimizing surface area or something like that. It's something where that bubbles do. So basically, it's learning about itself and maximizing the space it has. So it's becoming more efficient and learning through all of us that way, not as a machine, just as a living bubble. So it's
Mm,
like almost like a hologram, like shape shifting within itself constantly, just like reality is, which means we have free
right.
will.
Right. Have you ever gotten into like dark matter? Like
Yeah.
supposedly it's the thing that holds everything together, and I don't know if it aligns with what
Plasma.
you were telling us, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
I say that dark matter is what I call four-dimensional plasma, and dark
Hmm.
matter is just like what we're observing or seeing. That's like
Right.
a artifact of that. And then call dark energy is more what that like fifth dimensional mist is, or that higher self or God energy. It's kind of like what expands the universe. So literally
Right.
every time we create with our consciousness and plasma, the God and the Goddess,
Hmm.
we're creating this child. We're creating expansion, which
Hmm.
they call dark energy, which is expanding the universe. But in a
Interesting.
plasma cosmology, you don't need dark matter or dark energy. So, um, yeah,
It's just a new. I think people try
just new
to
terms.
attach words to certain things, of which
Yeah,
all the ancients all had their own definition of what they
ex-
were trying to describe as reality, and we're just coming up with new
exactly.
words, acting like we're smarter.
That's literally that's why it's like we were just trying to conceptualize it, right? So like, yeah, and I say this too. When I say like 3D, 4D, 5D plasma, like that's the way my brain can see it, and like certain people are understanding it. But there's always been this like three-level thing. And these two things are communicating by this in between level by Hermes or interdimensional traveler, between heaven and earth. And there's this middle
Yep.
layer. So I teach a lot in my magic classes and book about like how to work with the middle layer because the middle layer is also around us as our biofield. So the more we become coherent with our own energy field, the more we can work with reality and, co-create it. Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
love
I
it.
love how
And
you
I've
brought
seen it
up.
work.
I
Yeah.
I love how you brought up Hermes as the messenger and almost like the in
Mhm.
between kind of thing, because
Yeah.
even Hermes is known as the messenger, and even the Greeks
Yeah.
would call him Mercury, right? But in Mercury being one of the key components to all alchemical mixtures, right? And it's just
Mhm.
crazy how they they took away alchemy and created the science without the spirit, and that's kind of what led us here, I think.
Yeah, I talk about that all like I think that's why science is becoming magic again. I think we're kind of coming back around to the fact that science cannot answer everything, and science without consciousness is like not making there there please explain to me in science why it's okay that the standard model and the classical model don't reconcile with each other, and like we still don't know anything in science, like material wise we can figure stuff out and create things, but there's so many paradoxes and things we don't know, like there's so much missing. So like of course I can introduce something new because there's so many cracks in science, like we don't even know like our model of like the atom and the electron. Like these are all just models.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it
Exactly.
is interesting because even in science, science, the way that they, as far as I understand, the way that they are trying to science-fy things is by measuring something. But how do you measure the spirit? And that's really where I think it got all, super away from them. Because if you looked at like old alchemical components, the way that alchemy would work through trying to describe a blade of grass, it would encompass everything. It would encompass all
Yeah.
the plants that were around it. It would encompass the color and what the color is
Yeah.
trying to tell you. And it's almost like it's trying to tell you what its essence is along with its physical properties. And for some reason, that's just not around. I mean, I hope that it's coming back though. That sounds awesome.
I think it is. I mean, I'm trying to bring some of that stuff back. That's a new book I'm eventually going to put out. It's called A New Science. Well, that's the working title, but it's more about like a holistic science and expanded science. Yeah.
Well, I think we
Very.
absolutely got to get back to that too,
Oh,
because there's a lot
absolutely.
of harmful shit that we're putting into our body, and whether it's on purpose due to the elites of the world or due to just our ignorance of understanding what goes in our body, maybe a little bit of both,
Yeah,
actually.
both.
Yeah, but I think that we do need to create that kind of that coalescence in between the two. Like we need to be almost not necessarily relying on higher powers or who we deem as higher powers to tell us what's right
Yeah.
and what's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think going back to like the laws of energy and like realizing that, I think it's obvious now, and I'm not a doctor, but I think most cancers start from like emotions and stress, not genetics. And I think someone did real research on that, like Gabor Mady or something. So the point is like, it's not about like learning more about medication or technologies. It's literally managing our stress. Like there's a consciousness epidemic, and that's all it is because we
Yes.
haven't learned how to develop it.
Yeah. Well, it's just too much reliance on the system, and I think that the last 5 or 6 years has shown us probably shouldn't be doing that too much.
No, I mean, we're just a mess, but
We
yeah, I
are.
mean, things have to come apart to, for us to realize there's a problem. So it's now just like, what are we literally going to do about it? Like, are we all going to keep fighting with each other? Or are we all going to actually like create real change? And like, what does that even look like? And for me, it's like not being if I fight the government and speak out against them all the time, like that will get me nowhere but in jail or murdered. And if I instead befriend people at those levels and not even befriend them, but more get on their level and learn their psyche and like try to at least create change within that, that's the only possibility we even have at creating change. You know what I mean? It's like, I wrote my book for people in the government to read, and I would hope that it would give them some type of awakening of their ego and that they need to heal their own trauma because they're like ruining the world.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, that would be great. I heard somebody say, "Man, if we could just get all the world's leaders together and just give all of them bags of mushrooms and just put them in a
Yeah.
room for like 6 hours, maybe the world would change a little bit." But
Yeah.
They're
I
like,
mean,
Or
maybe
get
just
them
become best
therapy.
friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the
Yeah.
less abrasive version of that would just tell them to read your book.
Yeah. I'll be less narcissistic. I think because like, yeah, I'm like, no mushrooms, read A New Force. But what I really think would help is if we did get them all in a room and, did have them do some inner child work and face all their deepest, darkest traumas, like dead sober, and then have to integrate them and then see how they're projecting that onto like humanity. And like, because they have all the power, they're creating this reality, like for the most part. So letting them see that they're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of a mess. And also that there's also like, like the ozone layer is healing, right? So there's also like good stuff happening that like the news doesn't report on, which is annoying.
Yeah,
Doesn't get views. That's the
Yeah.
problem. A lot of
yeah,
the good
Yeah.
things don't get views.
Yeah, well, that shows the state of consciousness we're in. It's just like the girls, like the toxic girls, always going for the bad guys because they don't like nice guys because they hate themselves inside. And I'm talking being one of those people who did that. And it's the same thing. It's like for some reason we're pulled towards this toxicity because it helps us not face ourselves. So the more I think we face ourselves, the more we'll actually be interested in good news and that nourishing content versus drama. But it's never going to go away. Like we always need some, like I love reality TV because it helps me not think sometimes. Like, we can't.
Also helps you make you feel better about yourself,
I mean, I feel like it doesn't because I know I'm crazy. So for me, it helps me just like get more just like usurped, or I don't know if that's the right word, in like someone's drama, and I just love it.
Also, I don't think crazy people know they're crazy.
That's
just
true.
letting you know that. I don't even think that they would even mention it like you just
No,
did.
yeah.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah. But I mean, like I'm an ex-drug addict. So like when I'm watching reality TV, I'm like, oh, like I was like that, like when I was 17. Like, and maybe yes, if they're a little older, maybe get your act together. But then again, like here I was 2 months ago, chasing a toxic guy. Like I have my own shit to work on.
Don't we all? I feel you on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how much I know, all of us are working on ourselves. We need to all really say that because I don't care who wrote the most enlightened book. They have problems behind the scenes. I don't care what anyone
Nobody's
says.
got it all figured out. I can almost guarantee that. I think people are just better at looking like they have it figured out. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not fucking helping anyone.
I know. I bet even Sad Guru got his fucking problems. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I won't say who. No, wait, I won't say this is controversial. But yes, even like some of the religious figures have done really weird shit if you look into it. Like it's
probably most of them, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like don't put anyone, me included, everyone included, on a pedestal. And it's like we're all writing books and we're all mirrors. And if we have egos, please shut us down. And just like we're all, as Ram Dass says, walking each other home. So like I would hope that my book is a remembrance of your own inner power and you create your own magic while reading my book. And if you agree with the plasma stuff and it resonates, and it helps people look more into plasma and like changes humanity, great. I'm one out of many. Like there's many people who've changed me, who helped me do what I do. So it's like we're all helping each other. But the second you get like a huge ego, and I'm sure I have an ego, but the second you get a huge ego about it, think you're on a pedestal and you're wearing all white and you're this like god or goddess of humanity, it's like you're a jackass.
Yeah, none of us have it figured out, and so it's just so interesting to me that this place. I feel like, and I had this experience where it seemed like we were on psychedelics, just to kind of put that out there, but this place seemed very chaotic. Like it was the first 30 minutes of the ride up, and I went into the backyard and everything was just kind of like the weeds were kind of blowing in the wind and everything just kind of seemed like so chaotic. And I feel like what we do is or maybe what our brain does is it makes everything a little bit more copable, and I think that that's what we do as well with our own belief systems. And see, this is what I don't get about people that will, and it's fine. I mean, to each their own, but the people that choose to believe in stuff that is inherently scary. You know what I mean? Like things that are just like they're meant to be scary. It's like, why would you choose to believe in that? And so I think that's what we really need to get away from.
When everything's
like you said,
demonic.
if we're kind of if we're building our own story, why are we gonna put that in there?
Because it's the victim narrative and it's like learned helplessness. So I mean, I guess like maybe I was in that state when I was having sleep paralysis when I was like maybe 13 or 14. I remember definitely thinking I was haunted by demons. Like everything was about ghosts and demons and paranormal. And I was so obsessed. And it was also like right after a horrible trauma I experienced. And I think it's just like it's the more fear-based, the more people bring up evil because evil's human created. Evil's fear. So I would say the amount someone believes in that evil stuff, I think that reflects the amount of fear they have. And the amount of control they're grasping onto, right? Because, with the whole thing with selling your soul to the devil, it's like you think you have ultimate control when really like you don't at all. But
I think it works like an algorithm. I think that's how our life goes. The more energy you put into something, the more of that you're going to see. You know what I'm saying? And so that seems to be what's going on.
No, and it's so silly because what you're saying is so true. I resonate with that completely. It's like if we're going to use this energy, right, to create our stories, create a good one. The more of us that do that, the more it will literally collectively happen because the outer reflects the inner. So it's like we can change the future. We don't need to be like, oh, the future. Like, no, like the future, like, yay, like, come on.
Yeah, you ain't got to be a nihilist all the time, you know?
Exactly. And I feel like it could be easy to do that, with going back to existential crisis, if the universe is kind of just chaotic and infinite and eternal, that could be kind of a nerve-wracking feeling just in itself, I think, but as far as like changing the government and doing all that, I don't even think that that's the point. I don't even think that's what we're supposed to do. I think if we change, it just automatically has to.
No, I think so too. I think you're right. I think it's a good point. And I think the existential thing and you made such a I think it's easier to not take accountability when you believe in the whole determinism thing. So I think a lot of people have done like many corrupt things, like are at peace, knowing that like won't affect them, but like it will, and it carries on after this life. But yeah, I think, and we've all made mistakes, right? I mean, I've made bad mistakes. I was an ex-drug addict. So I don't think we need to guilt ourselves either. But as far as like, I think if we could just take accountability, right? And like, be adults about who we are in reality and that we can be co-creating. The second we're aware of that is the second we need to drop this victim narrative. And I think, people are comfortable in it because then they don't have to take accountability for their own life. They're like, oh, this happens to me. I'm unlucky. The government, the rules. And it's like, yeah, but then how do so many people succeed? Like, no.
Because they're not writing the victim narrative. You are literally writing your own narrative, and you're going to continue to be that character.
Why is it Bruce Lipton haunted by demons? Like, it's because he doesn't think that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always thought it was funny. It's like, people who aren't religious tend not to be mocked by demons. It's just weird how that happens that way.
Yeah. And when I had those experiences, it's because I was talking to people about them or thinking about it, and then it would happen. It's just like the story in my consciousness.
Yep,
yeah,
something
100%.
you kind of signed up for and dug into and put threw your energy at.
Yeah.
Well, look, Dana, we like to buy a book from anybody that comes on the show. We like to buy the book to try to like support and contribute and everything. But if anybody's curious about where they can find your book, where do they go?
Yeah. So here's my book for people watching video: A New Force, Plasma Consciousness, and the New Human Potential. It is like, I think it's actually 666 pages, which is hilarious, but that's the number of balance. They just took it over and made it the beast, but it really is the number of balance and heart and green energy. But you can get a signed one. I have a few signed books left on my website, danakippel.com. Then you can also get on Amazon. And the best way to find it on Amazon is go on my Instagram, dana.thealien. It's in the link in my bio. And you can also go to my YouTube, Plasma Intelligence, the link in my bio, and my TikTok at Dana Kippel. It's the link in my bio. And in that link in my bio also are my magic classes, where I teach every 6 weeks a new Science of Higher Consciousness class on everything, the magic of plasma and consciousness, communicating with other plasma beings. I'm doing one on communicating with the higher self and the secret of the 4D plasma bridge. So yeah, I just do like fun classes that bring tangible results, because I wouldn't teach anything that didn't, because that's just being a snake oil salesman. So I teach what works.
Get weird, dude. We love it. Love all the weirdness. It's time. It's time. And I think that a lot more people are going to be way more open to this kind of information and knowledge that you're putting out, probably more now than at any other time, at least in our lifetimes for sure. Because, this kind of stuff, I feel like probably used to be mocked heavily, or, it's heretical or something like that. But I feel like we're coming into an age now to where a lot more people are a lot more open-minded and almost more malleable as far as their minds go.
Yeah. It's the age of the subtle energy. That's what creates this reality. And I'm teaching the science of the subtle energy. So it's like modern day alchemy, bro.
There it is. I love it. And like you said, there's a lot of cracks in science, and so might as well, you know what I mean? Give it a shot.
I love science for material reality, material science, right? And then there's we need a science for consciousness. So I'm one of many creating that in my perspective.
Well,
Love it.
We appreciate that, Professor. And you have done I love these kind of conversations. These are the best because it just gives me a little bit of hope. I mean, not that I'm without hope. It just gives me a little bit more hope, knowing that it's more than just a talking point, that there is real hours and real research and there's real thought that's going into this kind of stuff, you know?
Well, I want to speak on that actually, because I question that every day. Like, is this my ego? Am I doing this because I want to be famous? Because I've always want to be famous, so like a famous actress, right? Am I doing this because I'm seeing that it brings me money, which it didn't for a very long time, and it didn't bring fame for a very long time either. But I question that every day, and I think that's healthy. And I think the second it stops that is the second I would move on to something else. This is my passion. I live what I teach. And if I don't live everything I teach because it takes time to embody what I teach, but I attempt to embody it every day, right? There's some things you can know and teach and not fully embody because I'm human and it takes time to do that. But I know and feel what I'm saying is true. And I know it's supposed to help people. And that's why I do it, because I have felt so much pain and I felt so alone and I felt so disempowered. And this helped me feel magic and empowered and change my life. So it's like, why not spread that to other people in pain and feeling disconnected and reminding them of the magic of life? And if I can make it my full-time job, which I now have, that is fucking great. Go me. Like, money's an energy exchange. It's currency. Everyone deserves to make money doing what they love.
Yes.
You know, as long as I'm not scamming people or I charge $99 for like a 4-hour Q&A and class. People are charging thousands for that. Like,
oh yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with making a living out of living. You know,
no,
people
I don't
will
think
tell
so.
you that there's something wrong about it, but
I know, but that's
yeah.
That's their own money blocks. And I know that because I used to be that person jealous of other people doing this. And I'd be like, oh, what an idiot. They're scammers. And then like I took one that changed my life and I was like, okay, they're not all scammers. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I feel like as far as being able to embody it and integrate all this information that we are constantly trying to research and learn and try to, just intake, eventually we will get to a point to where we can literally just every moment that passes, we're constantly embodying it and integrating it. And whenever that time comes, we're just going to be fucking levitating off the ground, I think, at that point.
That's my goal before I die, is to be able to be on a stage in the Sphere in Las Vegas and actualize a plasma ball in my hand, because reality is so malleable because we all believe it is.
Yes.
So we can
That's great.
Or levitate. That would be cool too. I think maybe we could get that done. We have a lot of time left. We just need to make everyone believe it's possible.
Absolutely.
I definitely think that it is. I think we're living in probably the coolest lifetime. Like,
I know 100%. It's just getting started. And
to be kind of like people who are pushing it to that like most awesome lifetime. I don't know. Not to say that we're a massive pillar by any means, but if we can even be a toothpick on the Eiffel Tower they're trying to build to spirituality, I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just if you want to be massive pillar, say you're a massive pillar and then watch it happen, That's how reality works. It's just, and if it feels too big for you, because I've had this happen with me, and then it's like, okay, why do I feel that? And it's just about questioning ourselves, right? And self-inquiry. Because I have that all the time. I'm like, oh, I want to, I dream really big. And then it's like my mind cuts that off because it's trying to protect me. And it's like, no, like if I want to have a platform with millions of people, then I should, because I know I want to help people. Like, I know my intentions are pure. So of course I deserve that. We all deserve our biggest dreams. This is our reality to create. So like, yeah, everyone should dream big. And just like the movie Dream Big, I think it was such a good movie, the one with Timothy Chalamet, because spoiler, do not listen to this part if you have not seen the movie. So at the end of Dream Big, he wins he wins against the guy he's always wanted to beat. He didn't even have to go to this big tournament. He wins in this like janky kind of tournament that's being put on. And then instead of going to the biggest tournament that he thought was his dream, he actually goes back and watches his child be born and goes back to this woman that he had been like not treating well. And it kind of shows that like the dream we think is the dream, maybe our ego dream, when really the dream is in our heart, which for him was like to be a father. And I think he was finally like accepting that. And my point is, I don't know what my point is and how I got here, but my point is figure out your dream from your heart, not your ego, and know that you deserve it because it's your destiny. And if you're aligned with that and make choices every day, don't rush. It's divine timing, but it will happen. And it'll happen in the most mysterious way beyond something you can ever conceptualize. But yeah, you have to dream big.
I love
Perfect.
it. I love it. It's just the natural unfolding of things, quit getting in your own way.
You said it way more simpler than me. That's way better.
I try.
I tend to complicate.
So look, every episode we like to do a single card tarot pull, and usually it embodies the energy of the show. Usually, I'm not trying to, get out in front of it.
Put pressure on it, dude.
But usually that's how it goes. So Sean, did you draw a card?
I got it. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. We got the Queen of Cups, which I think is gonna hit. It's gonna hit hard.
All right.
Emotions, maybe.
I want to see.
Last one.
I want to see what it looks like here for a second.
So
we've been trying to we read this book, and it's like an old school book trying to understand like the deeper symbolism in tarot, right? And then we just recently did an episode on the minor arcana. So we did the whole several episodes on the major arcana, and then just one gangster episode on the minor arcana. And so we're really trying to get used to just looking at it and reading it intuitively, but then we also have a book that we like to read from too.
Oh, good. Read the books. I don't know what the fuck it means.
All right. So the Queen of Cups. It says queens in tarot represent feminine energy that includes receptivity, creativity, nurturing, and love. The Queen of Cups is entirely emotional, carrying the double element of water. She feels deeply, expressing her emotions and wearing her heart on her sleeve. We see the queen seated on a throne decorated with shells and baby mermaids, signifying her connection to maternal instincts and ability to create life. The throne is surrounded by water, so she truly is in her element. The golden crown on her head suggests her connection to higher consciousness, and she gazes at a covered chalice in her hands, intuitively protecting its contents.
Ooh, the chalice is plasma.
And you'll notice there's a lot of blue in the card, which we just learned actually has to do with communication.
Oh, yeah, the throat chakra.
Which is exactly what you're doing here. You know what I mean? You're coming on the show and you're expressing your thoughts. And as scary as that can be, thinking that, because to be honest, I feel like anytime I have an idea or I think that something might be a certain way, I'm like, somebody else has already got that figured out, I'm sure. Like there's some scientist that already knows. And it's like you said, there's a lot of cracks, and so you might as well start throwing ideas out there, and especially if it really resonates with your experience.
Yeah, your ideas are, God-given, right? They're from your higher self. So if you're having one, go with it right away if it really grabs on. And if it doesn't, then you're probably not meant to follow it anyway. But yeah.
Well, look, there's also a spiritual message that we like to read from it.
Oh my God, tell me.
As if that wasn't spiritual, but let's go.
Right.
So the spiritual message for the Queen of Cups says, focus on developing your intuitive abilities. Activities like dream analysis and journaling about messages that you receive in dreams can help you become more in tune with your inner self. Spend as much time as you can with people who inspire you and embrace activities that allow you to be more creative. You may also find joy in spending time at home, nesting, redecorating, and putting your love into everything that you do, which I think is perfect. It says spend as much time as you can with people who inspire you. Dana, you definitely do that for us, and it was such an honor to have you on the show. This was so amazing. Been looking forward to it, and it did not... sometimes they say...
Disappoint.
Yeah, It didn't disappoint at all. Sometimes they say don't meet your heroes. I mean... I'm gonna
nice.
call that bullshit.
I'm the same on and off camera. I really am.
I believe that.
Yeah, I get that too. So, well, yeah,
Some
look.
people are not.
I know. A lot of shitheads out there. Shitheeds. But yeah, this was so much fun. Look, we're going to put all your links down in the show notes below, as well as so your website, and for anybody that wants to be able to find your book, that is a thickum. So it's probably going to last you at least a month, I would imagine, to get through that bad boy.
Great coffee table book.
Yeah, probably a great conversation starter.
Yeah, you can just open to it, do some bibliomancy, find a random sentence, and there you go.
Oh, yes. Perfect. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Well, Sean, any parting words for you, my good man?
Oh man, I think you said it best, man. I'm really glad that you were able to come and join us and just kind of express the things that you've been, really following and experiencing and putting the pieces together, where science doesn't seem to have it all together yet. And yeah, I really loved this conversation. Super fun.
Thank you. And one thing to say to you, Sean, just because you brought it up, when you get that idea and you think people have thought of it already, no one's thought of the idea with your unique perspective, which is why the idea is coming to you. So it's, very important to
I appreciate that.
Perfect.
You're a scientist.
We all are.
Hey, nobody has your perspective, You're the only one with it. So, yeah, Dana, thank you so much. And we'll talk a little bit after. But but look, if Dana the alien came here and she taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird. I was just allowing the thoughts to happen, rather than trying to clear my mind and all of this. Like, there's no one way to meditate. I was just writing the thought, that was just like a stream of thought. And I was thinking about this, and then I was thinking about that, and just kind of just letting it go the way it wanted to go. And yeah, no, it was a great meditation. And it's funny because I actually was thinking about, it really isn't that hard as far as like getting out of your own way and starting to write something. Like when it comes to, things of the mind, anyway, your own intellect, really all it's a matter of is just putting pen to paper or typing up a Word document. Like, just get started. I think we get in our own way. I don't know. I think you're waiting to become a certain thing in order to start the journey of being a writer, right? And you're starting to write your own book. But I think you're already in the journey right now, right? So there's no like pivotal moment of like, this is when I should start. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't think that there is no such thing as the perfect time. Right. It's just about getting on with it. No, I was just like really shocked about what I just read.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was kind of like, what's going on?
Dude. My God. Because I was like, at the beginning of my meditation, I was like, there was these two words that came into my mind. And I don't know for what reason, but I think I set the intention that like, if there's a book title, then maybe it'll come to me in a meditation, right?
Right.
And I kept on getting like, all right, like I just heard these two words, and it's Liber Noose. And I was like, all right, well, I know what noose is. Is Liber like liberate? Because noose is the mind, right? So it'd be like liberate the mind, kind of, right?
Okay.
And I just looked it up. Bro, how about, I never knew this, but literally Liber Noose translates to free us.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wow.
That just came to you?
Yeah. I've never heard that before.
That's
what,
awesome,
I'm speaking
dude.
in fucking French now in my thoughts?
That's awesome.
What
dude.
the hell? But I did see that actually, Carl, do you remember the guest that we had on? And she was talking about Carl Jung's Red Book, that it wasn't released until like 100 years later or whatever, because they didn't want to romanticize his psychopathy or whatever the fuck was going on in his mind.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who we had on. But yeah, that I can recall that.
The name of his book, of that Red Book, which I swear I did not know this, but he named it Liber Novus. So literally it looks like Liber Noose, but he adds a V in the middle.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Might have to read that one, huh?
Might have to.
They did release it, right?
Yeah, eventually they did. But it says, what does the French word noose mean? I always thought the noose was mind. No? Well, in French, noose means we.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I mean Liber
Us,
meaning
right?
Liber meaning free.
And then us.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. So yeah, I mean
Interesting.
to liberate is to free. So same thing, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's super cool though. This is
Super
exactly what we
strange.
were talking about in that episode, man. Things just coming to you that you weren't even thinking about, or or had zero prior knowledge of. You know.
To free us, dude. What do you think that means? Is it
I don't
almost
know if I
like
had to
you need to write a book and that's the only way you can free what is going on? And I don't know.
the world that is your innermost thoughts. Yeah, I am not sure, dude. Uh, I had an experience. I think this was last night. All of this, the things with the rotating mechanism, which seemed to me like a motorized something, just motorized within my skull. And then I saw myself, and then I was also outside of myself, looking down kind of at myself. And then I also, like, before all of that, because I was just in this like state of, I don't know, what it was, state of mind, I guess, but I kept seeing like this veil, not a veil, but like a tapestry almost, but it kind of looked more like one of those fancy rugs. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like very symmetrical, and there's like a center point, and it was like revealing itself, and I could see it pretty clearly. Like, it wasn't like I got all the colors or anything, but I could definitely make out what I was looking at. And to me, it felt like it was like Maya. It was like the illusion. That's what I was looking at, and it was just like showing itself. And so then when you say free us, I think of freeing us from like the illusion. I mean really the illusion we create for ourselves. And some of that we kind of adopted, of course, and it's all kind of encompassing. But I don't know, man. I think people just need to, and
My mind,
myself included, need to get out of our own way and just start doing the thing, start being the thing, and stop waiting for this other thing that we don't even know what it would look like if it showed itself. And just
just let it bloom.
start doing the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
otherwise
in
you're just
the
gonna
unfolding.
right, because otherwise you're just gonna, nobody wants to be like that person that dies with regret, knowing that you had all that time, knowing that you could have, and you had an idea, and you had the time, and you had, like you had everything you needed to take that next step, and to not do it. That's
Yeah.
like my biggest regrets are the things that I haven't done, not the things that I have.
You know what would be worse too? You get to that point in your life and you have these regrets of this thing that you wanted to do or whatever, and you think of all of the moments you could have done it, and you have zero excuses for why you didn't.
I know.
That, I think, would be even worse than even the regret itself, because that would just weigh like super heavy on you, man. You got no reason why, for not doing it.
You may as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Just to get a little weird here, you know what my first thought as soon as I saw that said "free us,"
Uh-huh.
it made me think of the fucking Elohim, bro, because they're always understood as plural, and like that was the first time I ever had a super deep trip. It was like a conversation with them, so I almost feel like whenever I'm tapping into the all of the mind or whatever, the kingdom
That's
of
like
God or
your
whatever, that
connection
it's
to
like
that.
to that, yeah.
Right. It's something familiar. It's something that happened organically. It wasn't forced. It was just part of your experience. And so,
Never even heard
yeah,
of the fucking Elohim
makes
before
sense.
that.
I don't even know what to make of that, because I've heard people saying like it's like the gods, or the many gods, or I'm not even sure exactly, but I don't even think that's the point. See, I was already gonna overcomplicate
Getting
that.
literal with it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you already said what it is kind of to you, and so why am I trying to reinterpret it, into
Well, and
something that
also,
it most likely is not?
dude, that book that I was reading, her Corpus Hermeticum, which is, I mean, they say it's literally a book from Hermes, like it is Hermes's book that he wrote, and in that first, because it's a book of 17 books, and I just read the first one. I didn't know that it was 17 books in one. But they're like 8 or 9 pages each. They're really not that much, but it is intricate reading. But whenever you're reading it, if you were to take this literal, I feel like, because I feel like now is the perfect time for me to try to read it, because maybe I would have taken some things more literal than I should have. You know, for example, whenever it talks about God, in this book, it refers to God as him, like on the first or second page. It's like whenever it's like, oh yeah, and he is good and he created, and I'm like, okay, that's where you lose me. But then I started going a little bit farther, and it says that God is hermaphroditic. It's just that we call him he. And I was like, well, yeah, I think that God is a he if you're a man, and I think that God is a woman if you're a woman, because essentially, if that's what we are, and we're kind of just like a smaller, more defined version of what God is, then your connection to that you would probably associate with whatever you are. It makes the most sense.
Yeah, so or just whatever you prefer it to be.
It could be that too, but I'm just saying, like, it's human nature to, I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit different too, like, because I'm not going to name my car after a dude name. You know what I'm saying? Because that just seems a little weird to me. Like, I'm gonna go hop in Fred real quick. Like, no, I want to get inside of Betsy, dude.
You what now? What was that, dude?
Yeah.
So no, it makes perfect. It's an unwritten rule somewhere, though.
We like to personalize. There we go. Personalize a lot of things that are regarding, you know, whatever it is, however our minds work. Our minds are fucking weird things.
That's what we're supposed to do, anyways, dude. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Good times, man. This was a fun episode. Dude, great meditation.
Was the shit too.
Yeah. Super cool. You know,
that went way better than I thought it was going to.
Oh, actually. I mean, I had high hopes. I knew it was gonna go well, but
no, I was just hoping that we came
to the party. You know,
that's what I was saying.
I'm always worried about me for some reason. Like,
I was hoping that we wouldn't sound like shit. You know,
I know, right?
I'm happy that we were at least somewhat interesting to her. You know,
right? Yeah, no, for sure. No, that went really well. It was a great conversation. So, well, we hope you guys all liked that.
Hell yeah, dude!
I know I did.
Oh, the best. Yeah, and what we have looking forward is Lord Byron with another one of his magician buddies that are going to be coming on the show for the live show on Wednesday.
Oh, for the live. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
All right, that's going to be fun, dude. That's going to be fun. I'm ready.
The best. So anyhow, the initiated. We love you, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Imagine what would have happened if we hadn't attracted the magic we had back when we couldn't fathom. Life is a fantasy, not with the vanity, not the way it was back then. So I grab my pen and write it down like a scripture. Mr. Mystic, making hits for the misfits. The show where you don't know what you don't know when it's on again with Sean and Jonathan. Yeah.